Hi everybody, this video, or in this tab, specifically is about deaf culture. What it is to be deaf and hard of hearing and kind of just the aspect of this culture. And I'm going to say kind of some broad stuff, but I also kind of want to tie it in some medical field stuff, medical professionals, how to address these issues. So in this video right here, it's just going to be an introduction, kind of the reason why I got started in advocating, the reason why I'm really passionate about spreading this awareness to the medical community about deaf and hard of hearing people. I am hard of hearing myself, and I learned ASL on my own, and then I took some classes in high school and just kind of kept going with it. And I have friends who are deaf, and mentors, physicians that I know who are also deaf as well. I had an experience that I would never forget. I share it with everyone, and I kind of want to share it here. I was volunteering in a hospital in 8th grade in a small emergency room. A dad and a daughter comes in, and the dad and the daughter are both deaf. I was doing something else, and I noticed these people coming in because I was in the front. And the daughter sat down in the waiting room, and the guy was struggling, just seemed really frantic. And these people in the emergency room knew I knew ASL. So the receptionist kind of waved me over and said, "Hey, come over here." And I was like, "What's wrong?" And they said, this guy's deaf. I don't know what to do. And I was like, "Okay, don't worry." So I signed to him and I said, "You know what? Hi, I kind of just said I'm a volunteer in this hospital, but I do know ASL. What can I help you with?" He was already so much happier because you have to forget, he started, he was writing stuff on Post-it, which is not uncommon for deaf people to do, or, write it down in order or stuff like that. But he was writing down, insurance and just kind of all this stuff because his daughter was sick. And he was just really distressed. So I helped him check in and whatever, we told the back, and I said, "Okay, this guy's deaf, and I'll help, but we need to get an interpreter here." And the hospital did not have an interpreter. This was a couple of years ago where ASL was not as popular. I shouldn't say not as popular, but a lot of language barriers were addressed as well, and not every interpreter was on call, and there's no American Sign Language interpreter in the building. And I said, "Okay, well, you have to have one on call," and they did not. So without going into too much detail, I had to help this man and his daughter for a good portion of the stay because I was the only one in the hospital, including other volunteers, other doctors, other nurses that knew American Sign Language. Not even one doctor or nurse knew it. And that's what really struck me, saying, I need to advocate for American Sign Language interpreters in the hospital, because even at my hospital, they had a list of interpreters that they had. American Sign Language wasn't on this. This is a foreign language. This is a language that people need to talk, that people need to express their emotions, that people need to know, can communicate and have a good medical care. And it just really angered me that there was no interpreter. And so that's something that I wanted to advocate for and kind of going. So I did research and I said, you know what, also, doctors should at least know some basic ASL. There needs to be an interpreter in this medical, so no mistranslation happens, which I've known of someone who had mistranslation happen in the medical field. And that can happen, but it should at least be that doctors and nurses can at least talk to their patient and is not going to rely on an 8th grade volunteer to learn ASL and to help have a good patient communication with that person. And unfortunately, I was the only one, and I helped them, but it was just not ideal, and that situation really sparked my eye, and I said, you know what, I don't really want this to happen. It probably has happened a lot since then. There's probably been only no one in a hospital that knew sign language. I've read about it, I've seen case studies, I've heard about from my deaf friends, and my doctors, and I have friends that are physicians who are deaf, and they've said that something like that happened, and it's just unacceptable. So this is why I have been so passionate about it, because myself can be affected by it. Just being hard of hearing, the lack of accessibilities in certain hospitals or in certain schools, and for just ASL in general, people need to know it. It's essential to life, and it's essential to good basic healthcare and a great patient-physician relationship. So thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy all these ASL videos and you enjoy a little bit more about deaf culture so you can understand the importance of sign language, the importance of the deaf in the hard of hearing world.